Hi, everyone. I hope you all had a really good week. This week, we're continuing with our remote learning lessons, and I'm posting the entire week's unit today. The complete slides is view only. So, that great big file is a file that you can look at, but you can't write on that. I want all of your work to go in the daily assignments because I have them separated so that when you turn them in, I can see that they're done. Okay. As always, I post them a little bit early. So if you want to get a head start on them, that you have the ability to do that. And remember, Monday's a holiday. So there's no Monday work. Last week we learned about cell organelles and their functions. And so this week we're going to focus on two of those organelles. Specifically, we're going to focus on chloroplasts and what their function is and the process of photosynthesis, which you probably already know a little bit about. And then we're going to focus on the mitochondria, which is involved in the process of cellular respiration, which you probably don't know diddly about at this point, but you will. So we hope what you're going to come away with at the end of the week is how important these two processes are. Without photosynthesis from plants, we wouldn't have oxygen. Okay. And we don't have oxygen because we breathe. We breathe because we have to be able to get that oxygen into our bodies, right? And so then that's the byproduct, right? The waste product of photosynthesis is oxygen gas. And then without the mitochondria, we wouldn't have the process called cellular respiration. So cellular respiration takes the food, that glucose, by the way, that comes from photosynthesis, and it breaks it down in our body. So we eat the food that gets that gets produced by the plants because we eat the plants, we eat the animals that eat the plants. We get the glucose in our bodies, and that has to be broken down for energy, right? We need energy to live. And so those two processes are incredibly closely linked. And in fact, you're going to find that the reactions are exactly opposite of each other. Okay. And so they're very, very important processes. So I'm going to move on to talk just a little tiny bit about our synchronous classes from last week. So you should all know by now that there's a Zoom class from 2 to 3 every single day, not Monday because it's a holiday, but there are Zoom classes every single day, and you can access that Zoom class through your calendar now. Okay. And some of you already do that with our cluster Zooms, right, on Thursdays. But look in your calendar and it should be there. You just click in and it lets you write in. It's easy peasy. And if you're not sure how to use your calendar, go to your Google Classroom. I put a short little video there to just sort of guide you through how to use your calendar. Okay. So our synchronous class last week went relatively well. I had a handful of kids, anywhere from like 8 kids to 12 kids. So it was a small number, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to start with because it's going to help me manage the class virtually. It's new to me, so it's going to take me a little while to get good at it. And for me to get really good at it, I need your feedback, right? Tell me, is there something that I could be doing? Like I tried breakout rooms last week, and I think that's going to be a really great thing to do. I can separate you into groups and you go and work. It's not the same as separating into tables at school, but what are you going to do, right? So please join us. Please join us for the Zoom classes. I want to recognize and celebrate the kids that just received their Chromebooks. I think last Friday or last week anyway. You have already started to turn your work in. So for those kids that have been writing this whole time, you started turning your work in on Google Classroom. Yay you. And for those of you that haven't done anything since we got out of school, you've started turning work in. I'm really so proud of you. And it's really important that we kind of get this flow down in case we don't go back in the fall, right? We're going to be so far ahead. Our cluster was so far ahead at the beginning of the summer just because all of our kids already knew how to use Google Classroom, right? Not all kids at our school did that on a regular basis. So we were a little bit ahead there, and we want to get a little bit ahead with these virtual classes. Okay, so it's a learning experience for me. It's a little bit difficult for me because I like to interact with you. So when you are done with your work, I should mention this earlier. When you're done with your work, make sure that you turn them in every day. Like they're not really due until Friday, but turn the lessons in as you do them, and then I know that they're done, and I can go in and look at them. Okay. So the last thing is please respond to my weekly texts. I think I figured out one of the problems. When I send that text, I'm not sending it from my own cell phone. And I know some of you already have my cell phone number because I'd given it to you earlier in the year. But you're going to get the text from a 401 number because it's Google Voice. Okay? And that's the number that the school wants me to use for this purpose. So please put that in your contact list with my name on it so that you know it's coming from me. It's a way for me to know that you're okay. Okay. I'm so glad that many of you're texting me, you're asking me questions about grades, about class, about next year, or just calling to say hi. And that's lovely. It really, really warms my heart. Um, I just miss you all so, so much. And I'm working really hard to make these lessons for you and make them so that they're doable at home and that you're not getting stressed and that your parents aren't getting too stressed about it. But it's really important that we keep learning. So just be well and be happy and be kind to each other and reach out to your friends if you haven't. I mean, they're lonely too. They miss you too, right? A simple text or, you can FaceTime or whatever it is that you do, but keep in contact with them. It will be good for you and it will be good for them. So I love you all and I hope that you have a nice long weekend and take care. Bye-bye now.